In part because I started doing map scripting for a lot more events as the Twitch stream was kind of at the same time also growing. And I figured, well, if I'm making these maps, I might as well try to cast the games on them.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much it's not just helping for bug fixing, but I think it's a lot of people enjoy some more insights into the nerdy aspects of how the maps are put together. So it's kind of a few things between both viewership growth and personal investment into the events that motivated me to stream a lot more.
Okay. But you're also casting a lot, so it feels like you are extremely committed to covering a lot of Age of Empires 2 aspects, I feel like. Because in every tournament I'm participating, you're always like one of the main guys for the map scripting, right? And
right.
you also try to cover it with casting. Like you have been very committed, and that's pretty nice to have you in the community for sure.
Yeah, it's been fun. I know there's only so much time I can commit to AoE 2, and there's been kind of a trade-off between I've been doing less YouTube editing and more streaming recently, and I'm still trying to find the right balance between those two.
Yeah.
But recently it's been not just necessarily more like AoE 2 time, but a different shift in priorities of how I'm spending that time towards streaming.
Yeah, it's the balance in general. I know that myself. It's very hard to find the right balances between committing Age of Empires and other things in life for sure.
Yeah.
Daniela, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. End of 2025, there was an award for different categories, right? And if I'm not mistaken, you were the selected up-and-coming content creator, right? Something like that. Is that no? Okay. Awesome. I prepared very well. What was it? Can you?
Oh my god!
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, but there's such a huge meme with this because in
Really?
2003 and 2004 it was the up and coming, which was hilarious because I won the up and coming 2 years in a row. So like people were memeing that they're going to vote for the same thing in 2025, and I was like, no, please don't.
Okay, and they did or not?
Actually, Paradox, thank you from the bottom of my heart, said, do not vote Daniel in this category. You can't vote for someone already established in the scene. It will not be taken into
Okay.
Oh, okay. Paradox, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Okay, now amazing job by me. I have not caught that.
Yeah, but I did get the most improved casters.
Most improved? Yeah.
Which means the world to me because okay, maybe someone that's very picky about their casters and just dropping into my stream, maybe they still find a whole lot of things that could be done better or like could be improved. But especially in the last year, I've been putting a lot of work into getting better, into paying more attention about certain aspects, into getting more accustomed with certain playing aspects, like I don't know, just tech tree knowledge or general, AoE trivia or things like this, because people can be very taxing when it comes to that as well. Like, okay,
yes,
initially I found like casting way more relaxing if you're, of course, doing to a casual extent, just like playing, I feel like. But the more you want to grow and be involved in S-tier tournaments, kind of have to step up your game a bit. I'm still working on it. I still have a lot of things to improve on, and I'm absolutely aware of that. But just that award, which was probably voted by most of my community anyway, it just gave me the feeling that you're on the right track. So that actually meant the world for me.
Amazing. Okay, and what for you is the motivation to actually try to improve, to actually invest so much time into that?
Honestly, again, bottom line being the passion for the game. I don't know.
It has to be more than that, right?
Yeah, like I would like to think that one day I will become a decent caster, so I actually get to participate at a LAN event, for instance,
Mhm.
because that would be a great opportunity to meet the players, to meet the people from other communities, from other casters. Yeah, that probably was the motivation in the last 1 or 2 years for sure.
Mhm, mhm. All right. T West, regarding map scripting, where does your inspiration come from? Because I would say someone who has not explored his creativity too much yet in life.
Mhm.
And when I'm
Ah.
thinking about building something from scrap and how something could look like, that progress is, or the process is super hard. Like, where does the inspiration come from you?
Well, there's a few different things in map scripting. A lot of what I do actually comes from maps that other people have written, and I'm trying to fix them or fix bugs in them, whether it's custom maps or maps that are just in DE itself, and try to prevent the admin situations that we have in tournaments.
Yes.
And then there's also the just creating maps from scratch, which I had done for the Brazilian Dynasty, which was a very quick process. I had done that. I had gotten access to the DLC. And then in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I pumped out like 9 maps for the qualifiers, which was a crazy short turnaround, but we made it work. That process was actually kind of varied. We had this Brazil theme, and part of it was I was looking at maps of different areas in Brazil, and then Nego Drama and Onamaru had suggested a few different areas, and I tried to come up with interesting map concepts that would fit the areas. I think Lençóis Maranhenses, which is Daniela can rate my pronunciation on that. I've been practicing. It was, I think, one of the more interesting ones where I'd looked up some nature documentaries to try to get some images of the area and come up with a map with the little ponds that apparently are seasonal and fill with rainwater up to like 10 feet deep. And I was like, oh, we can put some shorefish there. There's the coast on one side, the jungle on one side, and try to come up with an interesting concept for a map. Other things are kind of the opposite direction. We looked at I've done a lot of map scripting, so I know the ins and outs of the map scripting language pretty well.
Yeah.
And I'll try to come up with an interesting map scripting feature and fit a map around that. Like the explosive barrels one was that direction.
I loved it.
That was
loved it.
If you know Zetnus, he's around the community. Yes. He's done a lot of map scripting, and he makes videos of all the new assets whenever they release the DLC and put them into the map scripting engine or the scenario editor that we can use. And I watched his video and I saw the gunpowder barrels and I was like, oh, I got to put this into a map.
Oh my god, that was glorious.
Yeah, thankfully Barles finally destroyed one of them at the end. I was waiting for one of those all throughout casting the entire set.
I've had a couple of practice games on that map because that was one of my favorites. And I've had instances where people were just losing their scout, right? Because they were just exploded. And I find that so hilarious. And it's
because they'll try to weaken it and then they'll forget about the scout,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly, because something else happened in the meantime, right? Boar was attacking you, whatever. And I also just loved the fact that this forced the players to think outside of the box, because you had the barrels everywhere, literally. And then you're like, what's going to happen, right? So that was pretty cool. I like that. And that's something I also wanted to ask you, but you answered already. I'm wondering, where are these new elements coming from? But you were explaining that happens during the DLCs. The developers introduce that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there are new assets added. Like my goal for the Brazil maps was to use the new items from the DLC to try to make South American, or more specifically Brazil themed maps, to use all the new animals and scenario assets. And I think we did a pretty good job with that. I'm still kind of impressed with I'm happy with how most of the maps turned out. I am surprised that we saw Celts picked so much on like Monte Pascual or the water maps. It was amazing to see players come up with lots of different ways to play the maps, which is always a good thing, because we don't want just force pick the same civ every game, play the same strat every time, especially for tournaments. We want to have more variety.
Yeah, I have to say as well, like the Brazilian Dynasty in general was such an amazing tournament during the qualifiers for me, because of course not the result, but the maps are just so enjoyable, right? And all of them felt rather new, so it was really hard to adapt. And that is something which goes into what Daniela said about what is so good about Age of Empires, is that you're forced to really go into the strategy making and think about, what do you want to do on which map, and that was very tough, for sure.
I swear, for me, even casting the qualifiers, it's often more enjoyable than the main event, especially
Why
in
so?
situations because people don't have it all figured out yet.
Yes,
By the
okay.
minute, that's the thing with TTL, for instance. I loved always casting silver and gold more than platinum, because at the platinum you have the top of the top with the figured meta already, and you don't have like these crazy strategies that an underdog might pull at a lower league. And it was exactly the same with Brazilian Dynasty. And I want to say once again, I said it 1,000 times while casting those. Congrats, Tivas, for amazing maps. Like they're some of the best maps in the tournament that I've seen in a while, and it was very enjoyable to cast.
Yeah, well, I think I have that same feeling when we did, because I did the maps for TTL too. I was disappointed in Platinum League that no one took the hunt on Valley. Everyone just walled. At one point, we were in development. T90 was like, you know what? We should probably add even more hunt to the middle. And I was like, okay, I know T90 hates the sound of the chickens, but he wants them in the middle. I'll put them in the middle. And still no one went to take them.
But except Dragonstar, right? Dragonstar was very committed on that.
Dragonstar is always creative with his strats. I remember, I think it was during Hidden Cup on Mudflow. He was one of the first to figure out the dock in your TC and Fishboom strats. There's some players.
Yeah,
there's some players who are very creative in thinking.
Is that something to when you create the map? Is that something you have in your mind, and you're just waiting how long the players would take to figure it out?
Sometimes the players just figure out a completely new meta that I'm not expecting. Like it was the, what did I call it? Vala de Silva on the Brazilian Dynasty, where it was the map where you had the rock terrain kind of forming a line down the middle. I had no idea that would turn into fast castle monks every game, but it somehow did. I thought there would be more Vil fighting or feudal age skirms, but turns out it was a fast castle map.
I also thought it would be Skirmore, so I thought like, okay, Dravidians, Byzantines, these should be the main picks, but yeah, didn't turn out like that. But for sure, it's interesting how new maps can provide new content in that regard, right? Which strategies are going to be applied, but that's pretty cool as well. So in general, regarding the Brazilian Dynasty,